Welcome to Breaking the Chain, and today we have our first official deck tech for the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about Valda Seismic Impact. If you've been listening to the podcast or anything, you know that she has been my addiction lately. I've just been playing her all the time, testing here and there. She's been the most fun I've played in Flesh and Blood in a very long time, if not ever. So, first of all, let's go over Valda herself. Valda Seismic Impact. Whenever an opponent draws one or more cards during an action phase, create that many Seismic Surge tokens. At the start of your turn, if you control 3 or more Seismic Surge tokens, cards you own with Crush get Dominate this turn. It is a very powerful ability because it allows you, and especially with this deck, you're trying to build Seismic Surge, it allows you just to throw stuff for free with Dominate sometimes. And with that ability, we need to get into what is the first and most essential part of this deck, Earthlore Bounty. This card is so powerful and so strong because it says whenever you draw a card from an effect of an action card, create a Seismic Surge token for each card drawn this way. You don't often want to be blocking with this. It is the essential piece of your deck. The reason that it's so powerful and why I call this my casino deck is because this deck is all about drawing cards. You have action cards, auras, everything trying to draw you more cards to get you those Seismic Surge to make your attacks not only free, but give them Dominate. The next most important piece, after moving on from Earthlore Bounty, is surprisingly Civic's Peak. I know a lot of you probably haven't heard of this card, but the more I play with it, the more I am impressed with this card. It is a Temper 2 headpiece, and whenever this defends, another target hero draws a card. Normally a huge downside, but the ability to make your opponent draw a card on their last attack and give you an extra Seismic Surge, because sometimes you'll be sitting at 2 and you need 3 to throw that big attack with Dominate. Or maybe you're sitting at 4 and you drew a Spinal Crush in hand, so you block with that and now you have a free Spinal Crush And it's what is really interesting with this card is it says Temper 2 and it has Block 2. But when you use it, it is almost as if it's a Block 5 and a Block 4 card. Because when you use this card, it allows you to usually block with another card along with it. So, for example, you block with Civic's Peak. Now your Spinal Crush is free. You don't need this Boulder Drop in hand anymore. So you could block with that. And so it says block 5. And then you can do it again because it's a temper piece and block 4. It is really strong and it allows you to do some of the crazier things in your deck. Moving on from that, you have Crater Fist, which is a surprising piece because I know a lot of people like the legendary Guardian Gauntlets a lot more, but I think it's so good in this deck because a lot of times when decks have those defense reactions, have those ways of getting around Dominate, this allows you to put just a little extra edge to make their equipment block irrelevant, make their +2 on the Gravy Bones defense reaction irrelevant. It helps you get around certain breakpoints, especially when you have a very relevant attack coming in. You have Quick Dodge Fleshers, but that can easily be replaced. I have 4 other boots that I have on mine that could easily replace these. I don't think it's super relevant. It's honestly, I think, the worst card in the deck. Next, you have Steelblade Buckler and Titan's Fist. Obviously, you're never trying to really throw your weapon at the opponent. You're trying to either build a field or throw something big. But it allows you to have some more block value, and it keeps you a little more consistent when you have a bad hand. Or sometimes you just draw a blue off the top that you can't really apply to anything else. So Titan's Fist allows you to do a combo turn with throwing 4 damage on top. Moving on from the equipment, you have the main board. The first cards that we need to talk about are Blessing of Deliverance and Embolden. These cards have been in the game for a very long time, but it's only recently with a lot of additions to auras that they are actually relevant. But to explain them, you have Blessing of Deliverance. When Blessing of Deliverance enters the arena, if you have a card in your pitch zone with cost 3 or greater, draw a card. That is really relevant and really important because 1, it is your first aura on turn. The the part of comboing off, you always want to have kind of what is like a starter that you have in a lot of other decks. But moving into Valda, your starters are actually your first aura. So Blessing of Deliverance, being a 2-card go again draw card, is the best starter in deck. And that then pairs up with Embolden. Embolden, it is a 4-cost 3-block action that has go again. And when Embolden enters the arena, if you control another non-token aura, draw a card. Again, creating another Seismic Surge. At the beginning of your action phase, destroy Embolden, and your next Guardian attack gets +5 or +3 if it's blue. This is one of the most important main card decks. Or main deck cards, sorry. The Embolden is what allows you to not only get the Seismic Surge to throw Dominate, but make the Dominate attack so much more crushing. You can play Embolden and sit on a Spinal Crush and Arsenal, and all of a sudden you have a 14 Dominate coming at the opponent. This is the card that I will often, if I can't use it immediately, try and sit on in Arsenal until I draw one of those starters. If it's not Blessing of Deliverance, draw a crowd, Promising Terrain, or even sometimes Surface Shaking. We'll go a little bit deeper in those later. The point is, Embolden is the key main deck card. Going back down, we now have Draw a Crowd. This card is so important because, one, it's a starter. It's just a 2-cost aura with Go Again. I wouldn't say it's a great card in deck, but it definitely is relevant and adds to the deck. It's a starter, but one of its most powerful and worst abilities at the same time. When this enters the arena, each hero draws a card. Why is that good? Well, if I'm drawing a card and you're drawing a card, that means I create a Seismic Surge off both of those. So this creates 2 Seismic Surge. With Embolden, you can do draw a crowd into the Embolden you have in Arsenal, and automatically you have the 3 Seismic Surge. You don't have to do anything else for turn. There's a lot of things that you normally want to do, like if you have Blessing of Deliverance, maybe you want 2 Blessings into an Embolden. Maybe you want the Promising Terrain into Blessing into Embolden. There's a lot of things that you need for the deck to kind of work sometimes, but Draw a Crowd is really nice. It has a huge downside, but it is a card that says, yeah, it's just going to work this turn. You are going to get your 3 Seismic Surge. Your opponent's getting a little bit of an advantage, but you can do what you want to do next turn. It's not super relevant in a lot of positions. It's often a pitch card, but when it's relevant, it's really relevant. Moving on, you have Promising Terrain. This is one of the combo pieces. It's really strong. It is an aura, so it's a starter. It's a 0-cost aura, which is good and bad. It blocks 3, and if you create 1 or more Seismic Surge tokens, instead create that many +1. And then at the beginning of your action phase, destroy this. If you control 3 or more Seismic Surge, draw a card and gain a life. What's really strong about this is you are creating more Seismic Surges. So you could just do Promising, Blessing, and Embolden. Promising is also an amazing card to sit in Arsenal. But it's something where you can do that into a 2-card aura combo. And it allows you to get over that threshold to then create, or then throw another dominated attack. It is also something fun where you can do that into, for example, this round's on me. And you automatically have 4 Seismic Surges from your opponent drawing a card and you drawing a card. So next turn, off of 2 cards and most likely throwing a hammer, you can guarantee that your next turn has a dominated attack. This card's really strong. And the other cool thing about it that's not really mentioned or kind of hidden within it is at the beginning of your action phase, destroy this, and if you control 3 or more, draw a card. When this leaves, it gives you a Seismic Surge as well. Next on, you have Surface Shaking. I think this is the piece that we needed to make aura decks work. You don't often play it, but it is a 3-cost 3-block blue aura with Go Again. It is the last aura that I think Guardians needed to make aura decks work. And I'm very excited that this one's actually a very good aura too. Because when this enters the arena, create 3 Seismic Surge. Already amazing. Already, just by playing this, you turn on Valda's ability. No extra effort, nothing else needed to work. And then it has a secondary effect, which the secondary effect can also turn on your Crush ability. Because at the beginning of your turn, or beginning of your action phase, destroy this, and then you may put up to X cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck. where X is the number of Seismic Surge tokens you control. Draw cards equal to the number of cards put on the bottom this way. So you can play this. Say turn 0, you play this, pass. You can then, I just need I have this Spinal Crush in hand, sink 3 cards, draw 3 cards. You then create 3 more Seismic Surge and pitch 1 to throw the Spinal. And you already have 3 Seismic Surge for your next turn to combo, or to throw a Dominate attack again. It's not as relevant as I'm making it sound, but to have such a key piece to help you stay consistent in deck is so strong and is so relevant, and I'm very happy with this card. I was personally super excited to see this card, and I'm hoping that this card just continues to impress me further and further. Moving on from that, we have an expansion slot card from a long time ago. I can't remember what set this was, but it's Tectonic Rift. It's an X cost with 2 block and 3 blue. It's not super strong, but it is relevant when you draw a pretty mediocre hand and or turn 0, just pitching into it to make sure your next turn is free is pretty strong. It can turn on Crush. It just says create X Seismic Surge tokens. Go again. Nothing too strong, nothing too relevant, but it does come in clutch sometimes to help save the day. The last really big card I really want to talk about is This Round's on Me. It just says each hero draws a card. That's really the important part. That's all that really matters. You can do really cool things with this into Blessing of Deliverance and automatically turning on your Crush ability, and you still have probably more cards in hand, but it is a very strong and relevant card because it creates 2 Seismic Surge just by playing it, if not 4 if you don't have if you have Promising Terrain. Moving on from there, we're going to go down to our sideboard. The first card in our sideboard is Gorganian Tome. I can't tell you if it's a good card, but it's so much fun. It's so cool to play this and just automatically get a Seismic Surge for the next turn. I don't think the reason it's in sideboard is because you play into aggressive decks. It allows you to cycle through your deck faster. It allows you to pay more things pay for things for free. But you don't want to play it into control decks. You don't want to have to block with your hand and not have a block card. It is really a win. It's in a way a win more card. The next card is Batter to a Pulp. And this card, unfortunately for the moment, is super necessary in the deck. But I know in this coming skirmish, we're going to get more, which is good. But the Crush effect of one that deals 4 or more damage to a hero, destroying equipment they control with no defense value. With Gravy Bones coming up, it's insane against Gravy Bones. It will destroy their compass. And that's the most important piece of the deck. That's what gives them go again. And although they still have a pretty good matchup into you, this allows you to kind of steal the game back. And I think it is relevant, it's super strong, it's really good, it's a necessary evil, and this is why we have Crater Fist, to make sure you can try and push that breakpoint past the point where the Gravy Bones can react or add armor. Going on, you have Pulverize, which in this deck is basically free. It's so strong, it's so good. The only reason it's in the sideboard is because it's a red, and in a lot of matchups, you cannot be adding all these reds, or you cannot go above 60. It is a deck that strictly sits at 60. So Pulverize is something where it's okay, I'm into a especially slower matchup like a Guardian Mirror. I'm into Florian. Pulverize is insane. You're going to throw it for free, or you're going to throw it I'll pay 4 for 14. That means I blocked with 2 cards. Maybe I blocked with 1 card, and even still, that's going to be a 17 value off of a 4-card hand if you set it up correctly. And that's where it, and on the on-hit, even might be more value. It is a really strong card. It is really relevant, and it is probably, it helps you with slower matchups to present insane amount of damage. It does not matter that it won't get Dominate. Then there's Midas Touch, which, again, it helps with Gravy. And one thing I have not mentioned with Gravy Bones yet. Gravy Bones has Chum and Humperdinck. Humperdinck will just kill you. He will go and he will keep smacking you as hard as you can. So having Midas Touch to take out Humperdinck is strong. But the worst ally that he has is Chum. And the reason for that is all of your auras, especially Embolden, say at the beginning of your action phase. So they can react to that popping, activate Chum, and say you're pumping your next attack by 10, you're throwing Batter to a Pulp for 20 Dominate, and it's going straight into Chum because he played that. So this is why Midas Touch is so important into Gravy Bones. You sit on this in Arsenal instead of Embolden or Promising Terrain, and you wait for them to play Chum or activate Chum, and when that happens, you Midas Touch him to pretty much negate their ability. Give them the gold, which is not an upside, but again, not a downside, because you want your opponent to be drawing cards. But being able to Midas Touch, get rid of the problem that you have, and then still swing face is super duper relevant. It is, with the bit of testing that I've gotten, especially recently, it helps so much to solve so many problems that I personally had in the matchup. Next, there's Righteous Cleansing. It's in a similar boat as Pulverize. It is just a big attack. The cool thing about Righteous Cleansing is it's a yellow, and that's relevant because you can use that to pitch into your starters and draw an extra card. You can pitch into Draw a Crowd. You can pitch into Blessing of Deliverance. The 2 cost and the 2 pitch is not irrelevant, but it is probably one of the first cards to leave the deck when we get Guardian Mastery Pack. Next, you have what is, I consider, a 2-card combo. You have Tectonic Plating and Anathos. Unfortunately, if you remember, Earthlore Bounty is the linchpin of this deck. It is what makes this deck work. But sometimes this plan just does not work. And when that doesn't work, that's when you want to go to Tectonic Plating and Anathos just to make the gameplay a little more consistent. You turn yourself into a regular Guardian with other sideboard pieces. And that is really the reason to have it. I can't tell you if it's good. I can't tell you if it works. It is something that I've been testing, but not too impressed with, but also a kind of what feels like a necessary evil. Then you have Null-Rune Boots. Obvious, you played into the arcane damage dealers. And Crown of Providence. Again, this is another piece where I was talking about how great the other helmet is. The Civic's Peak. How much you love to block with it. How much extra block value adds. How it makes, your attack go from 1 cost to 0 cost just by blocking with it. So why would you ever want to switch it? Well, you don't want to give Dio an extra card. Because she can use that, and she will use a huge advantage. You don't want to give really, ninjas an extra card a lot of the time. So it's a lot of decks that can use that extra card very, very efficiently. You really do not want to give them an extra chance. And this just allows you to get extra block value. So that is why this is relevant and why it's important. But 9 out of 10 times you're going to be using the other helmet because it adds more value. Finally, there is a maybe board. You'll see this is why I have a lot of boots. I really don't know which boots I like. I'm hoping Guardian Mastery Pack gives us some boots, please. Relevant, good boots, so I don't have to keep using all this garbage. And some extra cards. A lot of these, I don't know how I feel. Roaring Fissure, if Prism gets good. Thump, I might replace with one of the blue cards. Just because, although you're not going to have Crush, just giving it the plus from either Embolden or Draw a Crowd gives that Dominate. And there's Arcane Compliance for against Wizards. We'll see how relevant that is, because especially with Verdance going off their own trigger, it's not super relevant, it doesn't seem. And Grandeur, I think it's a fun card. I think it's a cool card. I played with it a little bit. It does not add much value. Being a 0 cost to 0 block is actually insanely bad. But I did get to throw a Choke Slam with 1 blue instead of 2 because I pitched it the turn before. Outside of that, I'm not too impressed with any of these cards, but they're relevant thoughts. But I hope this was a good and fun deck list. This is not a list that's going to make you or help you win probably a Pro Quest, but it is something where you could take to an armory and have the best time of your life. I love this deck. So, thank you all for listening, and I'll see you next time.